Hey everybody, this is Sneaky Narcotic, back at it again with another YouTube video. And today we have some more Throne of Eldraine spoilers. Before we get into the spoilers, guys, let me please ask y'all to like, share, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and I'd greatly appreciate it. I'd also like to remind you guys that once we hit 100 subscribers, I have an announcement to make, so let's make that a reality. The next thing I'd like to do before we get into spoilers is talk about how I look at this set. How I look at these spoilers and how I look at these cards. So, first I look at them through the eyes of Commander. Then, through the eyes of Historic. Then, Standard, then Brawl, and lastly, because this set is so based off of fairy tales, Art. And try to see which fairy tales these cards come from. And today, there's actually quite the good amount of fairy tales that we can go over. So, let's get into the video, guys, starting with our first spoiler of the day. Yes, it is in a language I do not speak. So, this card, I don't even know what language that is, but the best translation I could find called it the Garen Brig Paladin. It is a 4 generic 1 green creature. I believe what they said was a giant knight. It has adamant. If at least 3 green mana was spent to cast a spell, Garen Brig Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So yes, Garen Brig Paladin. Oh, one other thing. Garen Brig Paladin cannot be blocked by creatures with power less than or equal to 2. So Garen Brig Paladin reminds me a lot of Leafkin. No, not Leafkin. Silverleaf Champion. Silverleaf Champion, I don't think it was a 5-drop like this one is, but Silverleaf Champion had that whole cannot be blocked by creatures with power less than or equal to 2. And there was actually a card yesterday spoiled, if you go back and take a look at that video, that had the similar cannot be blocked with creature with power less than or equal to 2. And I think that's really powerful, especially for green. If you're not going to put trample on a card, you might as well put that on the card. So that way, you know, it kills token decks. Early flyers are not normally above 2 until they get beefed, or, you know, once you get into 3-4 mana range, they start to get a little above 2 in the power. So, yeah, I think Garen Brig Paladin might see play in a mono green deck, at least a budget-friendly mono green deck. Yeah. As far as playability in Historic, I doubt it. As far as playability in Commander, probably not. We have way better cards in Commander. Now, this is probably the best card of the day. Not the best card as far as, like, what it does, but as far as flavor, this card is called Bear Suplex, or at least that's what I believe it's called. I'm picking up these translations from multiple different websites. It's hard to even remember which one I picked this one up from. I believe it was Mythic Spoiler. But anyways, Bear Suplex, 3 generic, 1 green. I believe it's a sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then it fights with another creature you don't control. It also has adamant. If at least 3 green mana was spent to cast this spell, that creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. So, probably in Standard, and possibly in Brawl, I believe, if you're going to play mono green Brawl. This card will see play. It is spot removal, but it also pumps it. And it's a permanent pump instead of just saying your creature gives +1/+1 to end of turn. It's a +1/+1 counter. So I think it will definitely see play in Standard. Again, in a mono green deck of some sort as spot removal. Yeah, and then, you know, the adamant actually in itself is useful too. I know, or at least I believe this is a sorcery. I honestly forgot to see if it was a sorcery or an instant. Here, I'll look it up while I'm talking about it. But the whole indestructible part is actually really useful, because if you use it as a blocker, and you can do this it is sorcery speed. But if you can attack with this creature, with a creature with trample and possibly a weak butt, it gets indestructible, and then it also fights another creature, and then it also keeps indestructible until end of turn. So I think that this card will definitely see play in Standard. Commander, no. Historic, maybe in Historic. I would more see this in like a proliferate deck, a mono-green proliferate deck using Yang Yangu and some other cards I can't think of right now. And Hydras possibly, but we'll see. As far as Brawl, yeah, spot removal. Okay, the art I do not know. I don't know. With this one in the previous card I still believe is possibly from the Jack and the Beanstalk, but I'm not too sure. This card, on the other hand, I'm not really sure who wrestled a bear. Maybe Paul Bunyan. I doubt Paul Bunyan. I doubt they made a card about Paul Bunyan. Well, here's crappy editing, guys. Yes, this card, Return from Clouds. I don't know. Sometimes when I make these PowerPoints, it just Return from Clouds. I believe, again, it is a sorcery. It is a 3 generic, 1 green that says put target card from your graveyard to your hand. Put another target card from your graveyard to the top of your library. Exile Return from Clouds. Adamant. If at least 3 green mana was spent to cast this spell, put 3 cards to your hand instead and exile Return from Clouds. So either way, you're going to be exiling Return from Clouds. It is an instant, by the way, which makes this very much better. You can do this at the end of your opponent's turn. You can still make some weird freaking Wilderness Reclamation deck. In fact, if you play Wilderness Reclamation and then untap at your end step, you can then play this as well. I like that. If you are playing mono green, this card ends up being basically a draw to from your graveyard instead of it, even if you're not, it's a recursion to your hand and a recursion to the top of your deck. I don't know, it does say put target card. So it's not even it doesn't have to be a permanent, it doesn't have to be an instant, it doesn't have to be a sorcery. It could be anything that you put in your graveyard. So I do like that. I definitely think it will see play in some type of graveyard recursion deck. Historic, probably see play. Brawl, see play. Standard, yes, of course. And then Commander, this actually might be good enough to even end up in Commander as an uncommon, for sure. If this translation is correct, I'm not even saying this translation is correct, but if this translation is correct and you can return 2 cards from your graveyard at instant speed to your hand, that's pretty good. That's real good. And sometimes you even want to return cards like Miracles, not that green's ever really in the Miracle decks, but even then you can return a Miracle to the top of your deck and then play the Miracle at your upkeep, or whenever you play the Miracle. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Again, what is with this editing? Okay, so I'm just gonna, if the thing does this, I'm just gonna do it like this. So this, I only have a couple of these that are translated. The rest after, I think the next 2 cards are translated, will be in English, and then we won't have to worry about this. So this next card's pretty cool. I think it's, if I had to take a guess to what it is, it's the Lady in the Lake. And let me go back to this and, I don't know. Best guess, the Never-Ending Story. So this is the Lady in the Lake. I thought about this when the art was spoiled, that this is definitely the Lady in the Lake, because I forget which story of Arthur I was reading, but he eventually throws Excalibur, as you can see in her hand here, into the lake, and the Lady of the Lake is the protector of Excalibur for a while, if I remember correctly. God, if anybody has read The Once and Future King, please let me know, because that book sucks. It was so hard to read, and I believe that's where I read this from. So Emry, Lurker of the Loch. This spell costs 1 mana less to cast for each artifact you control, so potentially only 1 blue mana. When Emry, Lurker of the Loch, enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. Okay. Tap symbol. Choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. So, yes, graveyard recursion for an artifact deck, in blue of all things. I do believe this will see play. All the way down. Historic, Commander, Standard, Brawl. If you're going to make an artifact deck, which if you've seen any of my past videos, I always talk about a certain buddy of mine in our Commander group that plays an artifact deck, and that's something that he's played us with multiple different times. You know, you get Darksteel Forge, you get Unwinding Clock, you get so much crap, and then even if you're to destroy something, of course you can't destroy Darksteel Forge or anything with Darksteel Forge out, but even if you were to be able to destroy something from his combo piece, with this card for very cheap mana, and I mean very cheap, 3 mana, potentially only 1 mana because he is playing artifacts, and then if he can somehow give it haste, which a lot of artifacts do give haste, then she can actually tap it. And I believe there's even another card, Unwinding Clock lets him be able to do, choose target artifact card in your graveyard, you may cast it this turn. Okay, never mind. Unwinding Clock doesn't break it, but there is another artifact that he has that says, tap this artifact, untap another target permanent you control. And so that is just insane. Not to mention, in Standard right now, we still have Kaora, however you want to call her, so that can untap this card, so that way you can get 2 artifacts back in a turn. And then Spark Double, which will allow you to do it 3 times if you want to get crazy. So yeah, I do believe this card will see play. All the way down. And love the art. I really do. Okay. Ooh, very, very spassy card. I was just making sure I wasn't missing anything there. So this card is called Greedy Impulse. No clue what fairy tale it's from. Target opponent reveals their hand. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Let's restart. 4 hybrid mana of blue or black. And again, I want to keep explaining this just in case, because now Brawl is going to be a thing on MTGA, and Commander has always been a thing. So, if you have hybrid mana, your Commander for your Brawl or Commander deck needs to have, in this instance, it needs to have blue and black, but it needs to have both colors of your hybrid mana in their color identity to be a legal card in your Commander deck. So just keep that in mind, because it is, going to be a thing to play now. And of course, if you love Brawl and all things Commander and Brawl, please stick around. I might be able to get back into playing some Commander soon, but I'll definitely be playing Brawl. No doubt I'll be recording Brawl. If Commander ever came to Arena, I'd be recording Commander too. So, Greedy Impulse. Target opponent reveals their hand. It is a sorcery, I believe. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card in that player's hand or graveyard and exile it. For as long as that card is exiled, you may cast it, and you may spend mana as though it were any type to cast it. So this card is pretty insane. It lets you basically steal a card, not even from the player's hand, but it also potentially from his graveyard if he has nothing in his hand, or you just don't like what's in his hand. So you get rid of his big threat, and then you turn around for 4 mana and use it against him. That would be pretty insane, in my opinion. Pretty insane. So I'm looking back here. It is a sorcery. You do have to do this at sorcery speed. That's honestly balanced. If it was at instant speed and you got to do this at the end of your opponent's turn, that would be ridiculous, because you would untap and then try to Draco Seth him or something. I don't know, even. But this card looks really good, and I'm very excited to see it in Standard. As far as playability elsewhere, Historic has a place. It definitely has a place in Historic, in some Dimir type of deck. Let's see. Dimir Mind Control, probably. I believe this honestly has play in any Mind Control deck. Commander, Historic, Brawl. Brawl, we don't really have mind control per se, but we do have the potential to steal cards. So it could be a support in Brawl. The only reason I say that is because in Standard, you can have this as a 4 of. You can have a 4 of this. You can have a 4 of mass manipulation. Not that you would ever want a 4 of that, but there's other cards that you could have a 4 of. Whereas in Brawl, it's a 1 of and only a 1 of. And I don't think that, honestly, as a whole, brainwashing or stealing your opponent's deck is going to be a primary idea in a Brawl deck. And also, I don't think there's really any commanders in Brawl in Standard right now that could potentially support that. Anyways, next card. Yes, this is a very interesting card. I love the art on this card. It's called Curious Pair. Wonder who this is. It is the Curious Pair. Adventure. It has 1 generic, 1 green. Human peasant, I believe. And it is a common. Adventure green mana. Create a food token. I wish I knew what the name of the adventure was. But yeah, it's just a 1/3 human peasant that has an adventure that makes a food token. And food tokens, honestly, the more spoilers they have, the more and more I'm thinking that food token tribal is going to be a very interesting and very played deck. I think it will be very common, actually be powerful enough to make top 10, possibly. Maybe get you to Diamond. I don't know. You know, we had the Gate deck, and I thought that would be strong enough to make it to top 10. And no, not even make you to Diamond. So yeah, this is Hansel and Gretel. If you want to know the fairy tale. Yes, I believe this is the last freaking card. Okay, so the Track of Crumbs. I love that. I love that in the same picture they have him sprinkling the crumbs and her eating it. That's pretty funny to me. And also, I thought it was the other way around, that she sprinkled the crumbs and he ate it, but oh well. So, the Track of Crumbs, 1 generic, 1 green, enchantment. I love how enchantment in this language is also enchantment. Uncommon, when the Track of Crumbs enters a battlefield, create a food token. Then, whenever you sacrifice a food token, you may pay 1 mana. 1 generic mana. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library and put a permanent card to your hand and put the others to the bottom of your library. So this is basically a very, very cheap, even makes a food token itself, enchantment that is going to just support the crap out of it. Because the thing is, it doesn't seem, at least through this translation, it just says whenever you sacrifice a food token, not that you have to sacrifice a food token, pay a mana, and then you get to basically draw 1 of 2 cards. Which, by the way, a 2 mana enchantment in green that draws a card, that's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We saw this with Growing Rights, and Growing Rights is ridiculous, but it's also targeted towards a specific deck, let's be honest, this is targeted towards a specific tribe, which is the food tribe. So, honestly, I think this card's going to be insane. I think this card could possibly be a very expensive uncommon, just in Standard. Now, as far as playability, Historic, yeah, probably Standard for sure. Brawl, probably not. I mean, to be honest, unless you're just all about food tokens, this is kind of a 1-of in Brawl, and that's the problem with Brawl and Commander, is making it a 1-of. Now, Commander, there are way better cards. There's no even reason to even make, unless you're going to make a specific food token deck in Commander, which is probably going to be hard since it's only going to get support from this one set. So, no, I don't see it in Commander, but I do see it Historic, Standard, and Brawl. And, of course, again, Hansel and Gretel. So, this has to be the last freaking translation. I'm so sorry, guys. Weaselback Redcap, I guess. It is a 1 red creature, I believe a Goblin Knight? Oh, that's pretty cool. A Goblin Knight riding a squirrel. It's a common. it has pay one generic and one red mana, get the Weaselback Redcap, gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then it will be a 1/1 base. And something is said by Sir Aelian. So, yeah, this card, as far as playability, the only thing I could think this card would be in is, like, sealed, obviously. Just being able to be a really good defender. Like, honestly, that's really cheap for double fire breathing. So, well, okay, I guess not really. It is the same as fire breathing. +1/+0 for a 1 red mana. So, still, we've seen in standard, or not in standard, but in steel, fire breathing do really good. And in case you don't know, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The whole ability to pay basically 1 red mana to do +1/+0 is, from what I understand, called fire breathing. And mostly seen in dragons. So it's kind of weird that it's seen in a goblin knight riding a squirrel. Alright, finally, English. So, Lochmere Serpent. 4 generic, 1 blue, 1 black creature serpent. It is a rare. It has flash. Pay 1 blue mana, sacrifice an island. Lochmere Serpent can't be blocked this turn. Pay 1 black mana, sacrifice a swamp. You gain 1 life and draw a card. Pay 1 blue and 1 black mana, exile 5 target cards from an opponent's graveyard. Return Lochmere Serpent from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. So, I don't honestly understand. Oh, Lochmere Serpent. Duh, what is this? This is a Loch Ness Monster. So, I don't necessarily like this whole mechanic of sacrificing lands, except for that we have Historic out there. And, of course, Historic and Commander hand in hand in this. So, Crucible of Worlds is still a thing, so we could definitely see this as a Historic card. But in Standard, we don't really have a way to recur our lands. And so, sacrificing lands, unless you're just flooding out, which this does give you the potential to accept a flood. But in blue and black, in blue, you're not going to be flooding out, you're going to be drawing cards. Even then, in black, this draws you cards anyways. So, I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this. The whole flash thing for 7/7 flasher for 6 mana is not that bad. In all actuality, just the body. And the whole ability to reoccur it is pretty good. I'm kind of surprised I didn't make the Loch Ness Monster a legendary creature. But, you get what you get, you know? Next card, Feasting Troll King. I do not know what this is from. I can't even really see the art that well. He has somebody on a cliff, it looks like. I don't know. But anyways, Feasting Troll King, 2 generic, 4 green mana for a total of 6 CMC. Creature, Troll, Noble. Ooh. It is a rare. It has Vigilance. It has Trample. When Feasting Troll King enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, create 3 food tokens. Sacrifice 3 food tokens. Return Feasting Troll King from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only during your turn. And then, of course, it is a 7/6 for 6 mana. So, the thing that I would like to mention about this is that you don't need to have cast it before to bring it back with food tokens. So, this is something that I believe Food Tribal is going to do really well. They're going to be able to bring out 3 food tokens very easily, I assume. And just being able to bring 3 out, then instantly sacrificing them to Feasting Troll. And then, hold on a second, if you have 3 mana, you could also pick 2 cards, or 3 cards off the top of your deck and draw them, basically. Or 3 cards out of the top 6 cards of your deck and draw them, basically. And all that for just a freaking 7/6 Vigilance Trample Troll. So something that's going to continuously be on the attack and the defense. So I think this card will see play. It's a recursion card. It's a hefty boy that basically you can play for free. You can bin him initially, like through maybe Charter Course or we're still gonna have Golgari in here. So we have that 1 card in Golgari. I can't think of the 3/1 that lets you discard mill the top 3 of your deck, and upon entering the battlefield and upon death. And Feasting Troll will be a very cool card. I think it will definitely see play in Standard. As a it's not a legendary. It's not a legendary. Yes, my bad. In Standard, it will see play, and Brawl, probably not. I think the Food Tribal is going to be so hefty that in Historic, it will be actually a top-tier deck. That's just my opinion. I don't really have a lot of facts to back that up, other than I think that they're doing a way better job with this, because me and my buddy have been comparing these food tokens with clue tokens, and they did a terrible job with clue support. But anyways, Commander, probably not. Again, in Commander, you're going to have to basically support your whole 100 card deck with food support, so I just don't think that's going to happen in Commander. Clackbridge Troll. Oh, it's the Bridge Troll. 3 generic and 2 black mana creature troll. I love that they have the Billy Goats in here. And actually, a part of the card is the Billy Goats. So, it is a rare. Again, sorry if any of these cards are kind of fuzzy. It's because I pull them off this website that's basically brings them up as fast as they can. But to do so is is getting a poor image. Later on they will update the images, and the website's called magicspoiler.com if you want to see this. So, Creature Troll, rare, trample haste for 5 mana. It is an 8/8. That's pretty good on its own as a body. Yet alone, what it actually does. When Clackbridge Troll enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 3/0/1 white goat creature tokens. Okay, at least the goat tokens can't defend, right? Plus your troll has trample, so alright. At least the goats can't deal damage. Sorry. At the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If a player does, tap Clackbridge Troll. You gain 3 life and you draw a card. So, I like that ability because it basically says to your opponent, do you want to possibly hold off my threat by sacrificing a creature, which is a downfall, especially if they're not a very creature-heavy deck, but also allowing me to draw a card and gain 3 life, which doesn't happen a lot of times in Black. You don't normally gain life when you draw a card in Black. Normally, what you do is you lose a crap ton of it. So, that's probably kind of really good to see in Mono Black. Mono Black probably making a comeback, by the way. Robber of the Rich. Oh, yes, Robin Hood? Yes, that's right, Robin Hood. 1 generic, 1 red, creature, human, archer, rogue. It is a mythic rare. It has reach. It has haste. I would like to stop right there for just a second. The reach part, I've seen a lot of these cards have reach, and I think they're really trying to make sure that Azorius flyers are in check, which is why a lot of these cards do have reach. So, whenever Robber of the Rich attacks, if defending player has more cards in their hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attacked with a rogue, you may cast this card and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. It is a 2/2. So, real quick, going back to Clackbridge Troll, I definitely see play in Standard, definitely see play in Brawl, believe it or not. Historic, I believe it will make a position in Historic for itself. Possibly even some weird Mono Black Commander. I think that card could see you play a Mono Black Commander. I really do. Love that card. Anyways, go back to Robber of the Rich. A 2/2 reach haster for 2 is not bad. And then it gives you the ability to also use your opponent's deck against them. Exile the top card of their library. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I think there's possibly support for rogues coming up in the new spoilers. I believe they might have it, just based off of reading this card, for them targeting the specific creature type of rogue. Now, as far as playability, until we get that rogue support, I don't think this will see really much play in Standard, because the only way it's going to trigger itself is for itself. And I would think there are more rogue cards in Standard right now. I just don't know them off the top of my head, or at least in the Standard after the cycle, after the set comes out. So, Historic, no. Brawl, no. Commander, possibly. If you're doing a rogue commander, I could definitely see this in play. I don't even know a rogue commander, so I don't really know. But if there is rogue support, I will change my mind entirely. It would be a yes, 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 yes. But I do love that it is Robin Hood, guys. It's freaking Robin Hood, and he's stealing from the rich. Look at it. Look at it. Wilborn Preserver. 1 generic, 1 green mana. Creature, elf, archer. I don't know where this card's from. There's harpies in the background, and for an archer, she carries a sword and rides a fox. So I don't know. I really don't know where this is coming from. But it is a rare. It has flash. It has reach. Again, trying to get rid of those Azorius flyers, guys. Come on. Whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X mana. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on Wilborn Preserver, and it is a 2/2. That's pretty that's pretty dang powerful in the late game, and even building up to the late game. If you just have extra mana lying around after you put a non-human creature, which a lot of green seems like it will be non-human, then you can beef the crap out of this. Now, that makes it susceptible to blinking, but at the same time, it's a 2/2 flash reacher for 2 mana. So it's a lot already by itself on a body. Yet alone, it's elf, which will support elf tribal if elf tribal still survives the rotation, although it will still be in historic, so it will survive there. I definitely think you'll see play in historic. I honestly believe it will see play in standard. As far as Brawl, if you're going for this non-human tribal, which might become a thing, then sure. Yeah, I can see it there. Commander, Elf Tribal again. Yes, definitely. Elf Tribal, just for the reach, honestly, is why this card's so good. Now, I do still complain that this card has, actually, it looks like she has a lance in one hand and a sword in the other hand. So, where's the archery part, you know? Anyways, Hypnotic Sprite. Ooh, Hypnotic Sprite. 2 blue mana, creature fairy. It is uncommon. Mesmeric Glare is the adventure. It is 2 generic and 1 blue mana for the Mesmeric Glare. It is an instant. It is an adventure. Counter target spell with converted mana cost 3 or less. And then, of course, you have a flyer for 2. That's a 2/1 for 2 mana. So, a counter spell with a body. This is honestly one of the first times I've ever seen this, unless you count Swan Song. And I find that pretty interesting. Yes, it is 5 mana. The last 5 mana counter spell I've even cared about was Spell Swindle, just for the mana repage. But I honestly think this will see play. I'm not really, again, and I need to go look at this and see which counters are coming out of standard with the cycle. I definitely think if there's a lot of them, this will see play. This will see play in standard. Probably not Brawl, probably not definitely not Commander, honestly. Unless you're just trying to counter everything in Commander. And Historic, probably not. Because Historic has a lot of good counters, and again, Standard will too, if not a lot of them are cycling out. So, as far as this card is, right, I don't know. Oh, you know what? This, again, still following the whole Midnight Summer Dream thing. There was something about fairies that were sent by Oberon and to Titania to put dreams in little kids' ears or something. Maybe this is along the lines of that. I don't know. I really don't know. Roving Keeper. Roving Keep, I'm sorry. I don't remember a castle coming to life in any of the shows I watched, so I don't know. But it is a 7-drop artifact creature wall, common. It's a 5/7 defender. It has 7 mana ability. Roving Keep gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. It can attack this turn as though it didn't have defender. So just going down the list, right? Oh wait, flavor text. It wandered slowly across the landscape, calling out in its lonely voice, but no other castles answered its cries. That's funny. Okay, so as far as playability, I don't think this is playability. Sealed. Sealed's the only thing I think this is going to see playing, and that's because it's a 5/7. Now, as a top end, it sucks, though, because the only way you can attack with it is by moving, paying 7 freaking mana. So, no, I don't think you'll see play. Sire Kara, the Bold. 3 generic, 2 red, legendary creature human knight. Actually, I've seen that some of these ... dots might be Brawl decks, not... Although I think there's only 4 Brawl decks coming out. Anyways, not the point. It's an uncommon. Legendary creature. Interesting. Whenever Sire Kara, the Bold, or an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And then you can tap Sire Kara, deal 1 damage to any target. It is a 3/3. So, I think this will be just some janky, fun to play, honestly. I'm thinking about some, like, type of janky commander. But as far as, like, actual playability, I don't think it's going to see any top tiers. Other than being a knight, that's a 3/3 that... it doesn't even have vigilance, and that's my problem. If a knight doesn't have vigilance, it's not a knight. Anyways, so now I don't think you'll see playability. I'm not sure where this card is from. Looking at it all blurred and everything, there's some type of magic around his staff, and that's all I can really see. So I don't know. I do not know. Searing Barrage, 4 generic, 1 red, instant. No clue to the art. I see a dragon, and I see a human flying at the dragon's mouth. That's all I see. It is an instant. It is a common. Searing Barrage deals 5 damage to target creature, adamant. If at least 3 red mana was spent to cast the spell, Searing Barrage deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. This reminds me of a card from Omnicat. Oh, I wish I remember the name of it. But basically what the card did... I hope there was no... I wasn't paying attention. I hope there wasn't a notification there. Basically what this card did was it dealt 3 damage to a creature and 2 damage to the target opponent. And that card didn't really see play. And I was kind of surprised because, I think it was like 3 or 4 mana. But I was kind of surprised that it didn't... I think it was called Hungering Flames. Let me look it up while we go over the next card. I don't think this card will actually really see play. It's 5 mana for burn. That's not a lot of burn to face. And even then, it's a 5 damage to a creature. That's basically 1 for 1 when you look at the mana cost. Let's see. Hungry Flames. MTG. Next card. Yes, that is actually what the name of the card was called. Hungry Flames. And so Hungry Flames dealt 3 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. And it cost 3 mana. I just didn't, I never saw it. I never saw it played, really. Which was weird to me, because it's basically a lightning bolt plus a shock. But anyways, it's the same mana as a lightning bolt plus a shock, but only one card. Anyways, Worthy Knight. Very cool looking art here. It is not from a particular thing, I believe. 1 generic, 1 white, creature human knight. It is a rare. It is a 2/2. Whenever you cast a knight spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. 1/1 white human creature token. Every Ardenvale aspirant must step through the flame. Their honor determines whether they burn or shine, and it is a 2/2. The only complaint I have about this card is that it creates 1/1 white human creature tokens instead of like knights. And I don't need 2/2 knights or with vigilance, but just a 1/1 white knight for a Worthy Knight would make sense to me. Granted, that would make it really too powerful. This card reminds me a lot of... what's the card? Hero of Precinct 1. And where it makes... Whenever you cast a certain spell, it makes 1/1 white human creature tokens. So if it's at all as playable as Hero of Precinct 1, then I believe it will see play. In Standard and Brawl in the Knight deck. In Historic, probably not, to be honest. Although Knights might still be cool in Historic. Commander, if you're playing a Knight deck, then yes, for sure. Claim the Firstborn. This is Rumpelstiltskin. So, 1 red mana, sorcery, uncommon. Gain control of target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So, it's a hijack for less mana. And I believe hijack said any creature. So it's a limited hijack. And so this card, hijack saw play. I think this card will see play. So I don't think it will be main boardable. I don't think it will see play in Historic, Brawl, Commander, or any Legacies. But in Standard, possibly. Just because I know hijack sees play in Limited. In Sealed, it definitely will see play. Just for sure. It will be probably a draftable card, to be honest. But I just don't see it really past that. Kenrith, the Returned King. This is either Arthur or just Kenrith. 4 generic 1 white mana, legendary creature, human noble, my new commander. It is mythic rare. It is pay 1 red, all creatures gain trample and haste until end of turn. Pay 1 generic 1 green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Pay 2 generic and a white, target player gains 5 life. 5 life, that's pretty good. 3 generic and 1 blue, target player draws a card. And 4 generic and 1 black, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control. And it is a 5/5 human noble. So, I like this card. I really do. All creatures gain trample and haste until end of turn. That's pretty good. The +1/+1 counters, that's pretty cheap for +1/+1 counters. The gaining life is possibly going to be really good. The blue ability sucks. But the black ability, that black ability is strong. Real strong. And you only need 5 mana to get it off. And if you already have a black and you put out Kenrith, well, chances are you have enough mana to play this card. Or play that ability. So, Kenrith really, I believe, for sure in Commander, it will be a cool commander to build around. My friend doesn't think it's powerful enough, but I definitely do. All Warburg commanders are playable. That's the thing. All Warburg, all rainbow-colored planeswalkers are playable. Commanders are playable. Legendary creatures are playable. So, that goes for Brawl as well. I don't know where it will find its place in Brawl, but it will find its place in Brawl. Probably as the commander, to be honest. It has to be in a 5-color deck anyways because of its color identity. Standard, probably not, unless you're using it as a top end or you're building the deck around it. Historic, again, probably not, unless you're building the deck around it. So, yeah, that's where I think Kenrith sits on his mighty, mighty throne. Alright. Charming Prince, also known as Prince Charming. 1 generic, 1 white mana, creature, human noble. It is a rare. When Charming Prince enters the battlefield, choose 1. Scry 2. You gain 3 life, or exile another target creature you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step, and then it is a 2/2. So, here's my thoughts about Charming Prince. It's going to see play in a Yarok type of deck, an enter the battlefield tribal type of deck. The Scry 2 is just ridiculous, to be honest. And then gaining 3 life, that's good for 2 mana and with a body. I mean, we have Rejuvenation that does something similar. Draw a card and gain 2 life, I believe, for 2 mana. And so to be able to put a 2/2 down and gain 3 life is really good. The other part makes it to where it's not a blink, but it is a bounce and a free comeback if you have another enter the battlefield creature. If you have 2 of these down at the same time, and you have Yarok out, you can gain basically 3 life every turn. So that would be pretty interesting. I think this will be a very interesting card to look at. It definitely deserves its rarity. A 2/2 for 2 that can scry you 2. That alone is pretty good in white. So, yeah, I think you'll see play. Outlaws Merriment. That is 1 generic, 1 red, 2 white mana, enchantment, mythic, rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1 at random. Create a red and white creature token with those characteristics. So, you either make a 3/1 human warrior with trample and haste, a 2/1 human cleric with lifelink and haste, a 1/2 human rogue with haste, and when this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. So, I like this card because it's just a continual cluster, and if you get multiple of them down, it's not a legendary enchantment, so you can. If you get multiple of them down, you'll be able to make... What if you get 2 down, you're making 2 creatures for free every single turn. Granted, you don't know what they are off the top. If you get all 4 down, you're making 4 creatures a turn. So this could win you the game. It's a very interesting card. Very interesting there. Standard, yes. Historic, yes. Commander, maybe. And like a token build. And then, of course, in Brawl, I don't know exactly what type of deck, but yes, I think that this will definitely see play in Brawl. Well, guys, that was the end of the video, so thank y'all for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that usual YouTube stuff, and this is Sneaky Narcotic, signing off.